have been.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
Happy Halloween, Kenton.
And also with you.
Happy Force be with you, Halloween. Neither of us are dressed up.
Oh,
Are we too old for this shit? Is that what's happening?
I wore my Metallica dress shirt, which I then caught in a door and ripped in the back.
Is that Metallica?
Yeah, it's Metallica.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Hang on. No, not Metallica. Pardon me, Motorhead.
Oh, Motorhead. Okay. Oh, of course. There you go.
It's my Motorhead dress shirt, and it's got skulls on it. But I ripped the goddamn thing in the door today.
I'm sure you can get that mended. It's not that bad.
Like I want to. What am I gonna do? Become a seamstress?
Yes.
Yeah, but in my class, I Instagrammed it. My class, section 1 was dressed to the T.
Really?
Dressed to the nines and to a T at the 8 a.m. PR class, and they actually brought a lot of life to that class.
What were they dressed as?
There's the themes this year were Spider-Man and Mario. There are lots of Mario. Super Mario, what are you doing? Hey, Luigi. There's like a lot of that going on. And let me see. And blackface. No, I'm just kidding. And they well, that's a terrible joke. And there was someone Big Bird head.
Okay.
Did you see section 1 today?
I don't.
It's too bad. That was Chantel has a Big Bird head on. Brett is a Spider-Man. Oh my God. Oh, there was a couple workout outfits from the 80s. There's a Bob Ross.
Oh, cool.
And one person's Bob Ross, one person's the painting.
Yeah, my Jack did that one year.
Oh, that's pretty
with his
good.
Friend, yeah, they did that at Comic-Con a couple years ago.
And Dan has a sign saying hallucination. He's walking around with a sign that says hallucination. So I'm not sure if he's
is that because yesterday he made a joke about licking the back of a toad? We had a number of reptiles in the atrium here in the college.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he's like, hey, is that the toad where it was a cane toad? It was the size of my face.
Oh,
and,
gross.
And he's like, hey, if I lick the back of it, will I get hallucinations? I said, give it a shot. See what happens.
I'm glad you mentioned that because yesterday I was walking on the second floor looking down into the atrium, and then I see all the snakes, and I think to myself, who the hell would go look at those disgusting, freaky snakes? And then I look, and you're standing there.
I was right there.
Yeah, you were.
Well, they were charging. I was about to take photos of them, and they're like, oh, it's $5 to take a photo or to hold it. And I'm like,
are you kidding?
Forget it. Yeah, no.
$5 to take a photo.
Yeah, or to hold the.
Oh, please.
Hold this
I could have taken a photo from the second level.
Quickly, we're going to get into the Mandalorian trailer that dropped. We're doing Star Wars Nerds because there's a ton of Star Wars news out there. We might just keep going with this until the movie comes out. I don't know if it depends on what happens in the media, but Star Wars, there seems to be a wealth of Star Wars stories out there.
We're in a good time for lots of Star Wars news,
Yes.
and you're right. It becomes. It's sort of like we got to make hay while the sun shines.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk Mandalorian trailer. We're going to talk about the Game of Thrones dudes leaving Star Wars for Netflix, apparently. But I just want to quickly mention that you mentioned Mario off the top, the costumes. My son Jack is dressed as a Luigi meme for Halloween. He's got a Luigi mask and pretty much a Grim Reaper cloak with a scythe, and that's a meme apparently. Luigi as the Grim Reaper is a meme that they all think is hilarious. My kids and they
love that.
Yeah. And then Shannon is a quote-unquote modern demon. These are her words. So she's got horns and kind of a devil-looking face. And Luke is Enderman from Minecraft, which is a big, tall creature that teleports all over the place. Anyway, so that's their costume.
That's pretty.
We're going out trick-or-treating tonight.
Pretty good nerd cred. I never get dressed up, or rarely. I shouldn't say never, but I rarely get dressed up. But I thought my idea for a Halloween costume this year would be a green cardigan sweater with a price tag of $334,000 on it, and I'd go as Kurt Cobain's green sweater that just sold at auction.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, the one from Unplugged in New York.
No, I remember it. Yeah.
$334,000, and I guess it's never been washed. I guess it's the Kurt Cobain sweat is still located within the sweater.
Okay, so we'll get into the main stories in a second, but let's start with some Star Wars clickbait.
Ojaba.
What? How?
What are you talking about?
Huh? What? Goodness gracious me.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is on course to score the lowest opening weekend box office figures of the trilogy.
That's New Music Express, which is not usually a clickbaity thing, but that is absolute clickbait.
Yeah. What is...
Yeah.
Okay, box office figures for the opening weekend of Rise of Skywalker are projected to be the lowest of the current trilogy.
Projected.
How could they do that based on anything?
We're now slamming a movie before it comes out for not earning enough.
For not only before it comes out, but it's weeks and it's almost 2 months before it comes out, and they're saying this. I mean, is this based on initial sales? Is that what they're looking at, or what? Because you guarantee that the theater's going to be packed the weekend it comes out.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And actually, I looked at our IMAX seats. And it is sold out, but for the front 2 rows. You can still get to the opening night, but those shitty front 2 rows at the IMAX are not available.
Oh yeah, well
yeah, still available, but nobody wants them.
Although I feel like I should sit there just to kind of recreate my Return of the Jedi experience as a kid. I was sitting when I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater as a child. I was sitting right in the very front row, looking up at Carrie Fisher in a gold bikini, and I was never been happier.
Looking up Jabba's.
Yeah.
Short pants.
Yeah, that's right. No pants.
From that right there.
Jabba has no pants. Are you kidding me? So whatever. I think it's kind of ridiculous to start like talking about box office returns on a film that hasn't been released yet. It's like,
we're now slamming movies for their box office take before they come out. Like that. No, that's the pre-crimes division of Minority Report.
Right.
The pre-review division of Hollywood Reporter.
I think regardless of what the box office, so it's saying it's projected to take in $200 million, and that's domestic, of course, opening weekend, which is a pretty respectable number. And it's the same thing as the Solo being a failure because it only made so much money. But compared to other Star Wars movies, it's still a very successful film, and it's not like Star Wars is going anywhere. So I think it's just ridiculous to start nitpicking the box office take at this point. But that is not a measurement of success in my mind.
No, but the other reality is that all 3 trilogies experienced audience drop-off by the third film.
Yes.
And it didn't matter. Even Return of the Jedi had the drop-off at that point. It was like when Star Wars was new when it came out, A New Hope, but just called Star Wars. And so people were dying to see something new. They couldn't wait. Empire Strikes Back was like the rare sequel that the idea of a sequel that was better had only been floated from The Godfather.
That's the only one.
And there was nothing else. And so even that was a surprise. But then by the time the third one rolled around, there was a little bit of Star Wars like, oh, we've seen this before. And that's when we were waiting 3 years. There was drop off.
Yes, and the same thing happened with Revenge of the Sith for different reasons. People were tired. They realized the hype from the Phantom Menace had completely gone away, and people were actually pretty upset about the nature of those films. And so by the third one, and that was probably, I think, one of the only Star Wars films I did not see an opening night was Revenge of the Sith, because I just did not feel the urgency
I saw it at the midnight show, and I remember going, wow, it's actually good.
It's better.
It's actually good.
That's right.
And also finding the Darth Vader burned to a crisp, the crispy Anakin.
That's right.
Extra crispy Anakin. I actually found that to be quite disturbing the first time I saw it.
It was actually pretty much how I imagined it in my head.
Well,
we'd heard about that battle for a long time, about Obi-Wan and Darth Vader and Anakin kind of facing off on this lava planet. That was always going to be the case. And so when they showed that, it was like, oh yeah, that's how I thought it would go.
To me, seeing him it was one thing to think of it, but it was something else to see him in that charcoal briquette suit with the shaved head and trying to drag himself with a half arm. I'm gonna bite your. It was like the Knights Who Say No, it was the Black Knight. I will bite your ass off. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Just a flesh wound.
That's
Nothing.
right. That's actually, I never thought of that before. That kind of mimics that scene. I'm still gonna fight you.
I don't think that's intentional.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either.
So anyway, we'll see regardless of what the box office results are of this film. We're still looking forward to it. We're looking forward to the end of this whole saga. And by the way, I think Hayden Christensen paid a visit to Star Wars Land recently.
He's so in this next movie.
You think so?
Oh,
hey?
Of course he is.
Well, we'll see.
Hey, one of our predictions, and we're still gonna have that show where we made predictions at the end of the last episode. Not even Solo, before that, at the end of Last Jedi.
Yes.
We made predictions, and one of those predictions was Force ghosts from Jedi's past and maybe surviving Jedi's past. So I'm all in on this idea that we will see Hayden Christensen in this film as a ghost or not, probably a ghost, and maybe a little Mace Windu, maybe pointy-headed guy, whatever that guy's name is, I forgot. Maybe
Qui-Gon.
Yeah, maybe Qui-Gon, maybe Yaddle. I know there's a big contingent of people going, give me my Yaddle.
Yeah.
But I actually think we are. I think Hayden Christensen is gonna be in this film. I do. I can't wait. I mean, I'm pretty pumped for it. But I'm even more pumped for the thing you're about to show.
Yeah, we're gonna show this is the second trailer for The Mandalorian, which is less than 2 weeks away. It's dropping on November 12th. So we're just a few short days away from this happening, and this trailer is pretty good.
I looked for the Disney Plus app and I could not find it.
Is it not launched yet?
Have you looked?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure if my search. Who knows, right? Sometimes the search doesn't work once in a while on Apple TV, so I'm not sure if my search was faulty or if it's not even there. Because what I'm expecting might happen is there might be a surge of people that day all trying to download the app, and you know what I mean? Like
yeah, it's like when the playoffs start, everyone tries to get on your Sportsnet.
I know, and it's impossible.
Well, the other thing is that actually I wanted to mention to you, there's a Star Wars trivia night coming up. Someone invited me to it, and one of the prizes, if you pre-register, they're really trying to sell the tickets ahead of time, which I understand. If you pre-register, you're entered into a draw to win Disney Plus for a year. That's the prize, which I think is pretty cool. But I don't see it on my phone. I'm not seeing it on the App Store on my phone at all. So it probably hasn't launched yet. They probably haven't done that.
I swear to God, if this is a big pile of crap where you can't download the app, or then it doesn't work once you download it, or you can't register, I'll be so mad.
No, it'll be fine.
And did you see? And there's one thing I wanted to mention before you show the trailer, and that is that New York Times has seen the first episode and is teasing a massive Star Wars spoiler in episode 1. So this isn't something we want to fuck around with this on the day it's launched. This is something, you know what I mean? We want to see this the day it's launched. We don't want the spoilers.
We're going to make sure our internet is working properly. There are no power outages.
Yes.
It's going to be.
This needs to go to plan. Okay.
That's it.
I'm ready for the trailer.
Here's the trailer.
Is the world more peaceful since the revolution? It is a shame that your people suffered. But bounty hunting is a complicated profession. They said you were coming. They said you were the best in the parsec. Would you agree? Mandalorian, look outside. They are waiting for you. Yeah? Good.
That was Bill Burr.
That's Bill Burr
Holy
shooting
shit.
some guns.
And he's got a shoulder gun.
Pretty cool.
That's insane. There's a lot of good stuff in that trailer.
That gives me the shivers that the other one did not. That the trailer for Rise of Skywalker.
Well, why?
did
Why
not.
is that, do you think?
I think because there's a darkness to this trailer that makes it weighty. The fact they call it the Visionary new series means they like this series. They're pushing this series. I think there's lots to talk about in this trailer.
There's a lot more detail in here that we're getting. We have We have a fight with what appears to be Bosk. Is that not Bosk he's fighting there?
Could
in
be.
The canyon? We've got kind of a shootout with some stormtroopers. We've got another bunch of different kind of conflicts showing how good of a fighter this guy is. We've got Werner Herzog and his pronunciation of parsec.
Parsec.
Parsec. He's just got a great voice and the accent is awesome. So there's that. But there's an Ugnaught in there. There is what else? Oh, I closed it. I shouldn't have closed it. There's a bunch of other stuff.
We could watch it a second time.
We could watch. No, it's okay.
All right. In case you're trying to judge, because I was wondering if that was Bosk too. We could freeze it.
I'm pretty sure it's got to be Bosk. Like, what else could it be?
A member of the species.
I launched YouTube and it says Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus, a Star Wars story, teaser trailer, mashup concept. This is not real. They've got a photo of what appears to be a photoshopped Ewan McGregor. This is not a real thing.
Did you see that Photoshop of Trump giving the dog the medal? That that of course he tweeted yesterday, and it's just the worst Photoshop job ever. It looks like that. Oh. So are we gonna?
I'm not gonna watch it again. I just want to go. I want to have it in front of me so I can go through and note some of the. Where is it? Oh, here's trailer number 2. And here's another thing. Up until now, like I don't know why I've just been like thinking of this person as a bad guy, probably because of Boba Fett, right? Boba Fett's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of automatically assume like anyone in a Mandalorian armor is a bad guy, but that's not the case because we've seen Sabine in Rebels. In Rebels gave us a whole kind of glimpse into the Mandalorian culture and their world and what it's like there before the war. So these are good people, and this part where he goes kind of gives that like shakes a person's hand is a little like yes kind of thing with that other person. That's like, oh, this person's he's a good guy. He's the main character of the story, and therefore he's the good guy. But yeah, there's a lot of good detail here.
I love the little the view up in the canyon.
We got the dewbacks.
Or is that what they are?
Oh yeah, those are dewbacks for sure.
It looks like it looks like two-legged something.
Well, related to dewbacks.
Yeah, similar for sure.
Similar lizard creatures.
Shiny.
Maybe it's the one that Anakin rode in the field. Let's see. Is that Boss? That's Boss for sure.
No. Oh, is it? No, it might be one of those guys from the skiff.
No, I think it's Bosk. Yeah.
I don't know.
And so we have the carbon freezing thing. So this is apparently how he transports people, taking a cue from Boba Fett.
Hang on. Here's where we should stop, because this is what I'm going to go out on a limb and say. Then this is pure talking out of my ass. It's Larson talking out of his ass. But
Again.
the New York Times says there's a major spoiler in episode 1. This is what I'm going to suggest to you the major spoiler is. Either the Mandalorian is Boba Fett, or the Mandalorian determines that Boba Fett escaped. I think it has to be one or the other.
I think the second one sounds more realistic to me. I don't think
he visits the Sarlacc, right?
Yeah, and I don't think because a lot of this appears to be on Tatooine. Like a lot of the imagery here looks like Tatooine. So say if it is Boba Fett, he's got new armor.
Yeah.
Like there's all this, like the armor is much nicer and shinier than his armor ever was. And I always kind of felt like Boba Fett's armor was kind of worn and cracked on purpose. It was his battle scars. That's why he kept wearing it.
Wookiee pelts on there.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know that Boba Fett would change up his armor like this. Because it is a point of pride among Mandalorians to have their armor show their battle scars. So I don't think this is Boba Fett, but I do think that you're right. I think that we will learn the fate of Boba Fett, that fate being that he is alive, which is hilarious when you think about it, because if you just watch the movies, you would think that he died when he fell into that Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. That's the last we see of him.
He went out like a biatch.
Bounces off the side of the skiff and then into the pit
by a blind Han Solo.
And then they digitally added that weird beak thing later on.
They added the penis in the special edition.
So
to further humiliate him.
So yeah, I do think you could be right about that. I don't know if I would call that a spoiler, but
no, it's not speculation's not a spoiler.
No, but I would think whatever the New York Times is saying, like a major spoiler. What do they mean by spoiler?
They said a major Star Wars spoiler is in the first episode.
What I don't understand what that means.
Well, that's just it. Like, what does the New York Times know of Star Wars? First of all, what would be a major spoiler in episode 1?
Is it a spoiler if you haven't watched any other Star Wars? Like, I don't understand what that means. Or a spoiler for the Rise of Skywalker movie coming out? Like,
I don't know.
I think that's a poor choice of words.
No, well, it could be. I mean, we're speculating, and we, of course, do not believe that blind speculation is a spoiler because it's not.
No.
It's just two idiots guessing at what they think it might be, and we're batting about 50%, I'd say. So,
I like those odds. Okay, so we got Werner Herzog. We have Gus Fring smiling.
It's a major part of the success of this trailer is Werner Herzog.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We've got Apollo Creed coming up here. This little tentacle face guy. What are those guys called again? Those
squid face, but I don't know what their real name is.
Yeah, probably different. Not the guy from the original film, but this little creature looks
That's
like
the guy from Attack of the Clones, that creature.
Oh, yeah.
Remember he was trampling them in the arena?
Fight them. Yes, that's right. You're right.
So they're going to visit them in their
so does that mean they're
environment.
on, what was the name of that planet they were on? Geonosis. Are they on Geonosis?
No, they had to transport him to Geonosis, I think.
Okay. Then the Ugnaught. I love that.
He's got a pal.
Tapping him on the shoulder. Like, that's his buddy. We never really knew anything about Ugnaughts.
Hang on. Look at the evidence here. This Mandalorian actually, there's something else. Okay, this Mandalorian is familiar with Geonosis, perhaps, has an Ugnaught for a friend, but Boba Fett was on Cloud City.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ugnaught for friend, saves things in carbonite, like Boba Fett, and is that an Australian accent at the very end when we hear him talk?
Okay,
I think it is.
All right, let's listen
to
it.
It is.
I don't know if you're right or not, but
damn it, it is.
Gus Fring smiling gets me. Looks like she's about to take his helmet off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
I don't think you can tell.
Oh, that's pure Australian.
Okay,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the actor is not Australian, and the actor is not Maori, which the actor was in the prequels. So,
yeah, but we don't even know if the guy takes the mask off.
Well, it looks like she's about to take his helmet off there.
No, she's going to kiss his mask. and is that a TIE fighter he jumps into at the end? I think it is. That's a TIE fighter.
Yeah, it is a TIE fighter. You're right.
Who's in it? Let's look. What the fuck? What? I can't believe we didn't. I'm swearing. Sorry.
Oh,
what
the
fudge?
Gus Fring?
Is that Gus Fring in the TIE fighter? There we go. Oh, yeah. That's totally a TIE fighter.
Yeah, it is Gus Fring in there. Who knew?
Oh, so is he Imperial?
Yes, I think he is.
Or did he steal this?
No, I think he's Imperial. I think that was always the case. Gus Fring was going to be an Imperial officer of some kind.
Oh, that's very cool.
But this takes place after Return of the Jedi, does it not?
It does.
So the Empire is falling apart at this point. So Gus Fring is a former Imperial officer.
He's on the run, maybe. Maybe he's on the run at this point.
But we really should stop calling him Gus Fring.
No.
No, he's always going to be Gus Fring.
Yeah, just like Apollo Creed and,
right.
I guess Werner Herzog.
Bill Burr is always Bill Burr.
Yeah, that's right. And Herzog is Herzog.
He's going to want to rant about the NFL in a second.
Is there anyone else in here we should call by another name? I think we have She-Ra. She-Ra. That's the funny line from Thor when he goes, "I got Jackie Chan." What is that again? Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite lines. I just can't think of it. But I love this trailer.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So, okay,
do you like this trailer more than Rise of Skywalker?
Yes, for sure. It's just so much new stuff. Like the Rise of Skywalker trailer was all stuff we expected.
Yeah.
There were no surprises in that trailer. There was a surprise in the previous one when we saw Dark Ray. That was a surprise.
Yeah.
But as far as the newest trailer goes, there were no surprises for me. It was all to be expected. This is full of surprises, and I can't wait to see it. So and it's closer too, so I'm more excited because it's only a few weeks away.
Yeah, and all we have to do is download an app, enter a credit card.
That's right. Sign our life away.
Make sure Wi-Fi is working.
That's right.
It's not going to work.
Oh, I'm going to somewhere where there's good public Wi-Fi.
It's just like me buying Star Wars tickets through the app. I could have told you the day before that mofo wasn't going to work the right way.
All right.
And I'm telling you now, the Disney Plus app is not going to work the right way because
there is going to be a high demand for it, so they hopefully will be ready for it. It is Disney after all. But speaking of that,
I love this trailer. And it caught me by surprise. I didn't see it till the next day.
Neither did I. I didn't even know it was going to come out. I had no idea. I just I saw it trending on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, they released another trailer for it, which is awesome.
And speaking of this week in Star Wars clickbait. Flipboard had one saying, everybody's talking about this appearance in the Mandalorian trailer. Was the clickbait? And I was like, what's everybody talking about?
Bill Burr.
So I click, yeah, and it's Bill Burr, but it's like the official fan club of Bill Burr is talking.
Not everybody.
It's like one of those.
Yeah.
Where you kind of go, well,
did we not know Bill Burr was in it? Is that a surprise?
No, we did know, but for whatever reason, seeing him in action is a different story.
It really is.
Yeah, he looks like a different guy.
Especially considering the other types of roles he takes in different films and TV shows, like in Breaking Bad and other things like that. So it's good to see him.
Even in Breaking Bad, he stood out like a sore thumb. Like I
he
didn't,
did.
Like it was
he kind of
weird.
did.
Yeah.
But that's what he does, right? That's kind of what he does. All right, let's talk about the big news of the week, of course. That is the two Game of Thrones guys, Weiss and Benioff, I guess. Dan Weiss and Dave Benioff are no longer working with Lucasfilm to produce a Star Wars trilogy. Yeah, I don't know what else. The story is, I read to the Hollywood Reporter yesterday that they apparently had also, in addition to being signed on to work on this trilogy of films with Lucasfilm, they had just signed a big deal with Netflix, $240 million deal with Netflix to develop multiple projects, TV shows and movies. And I guess the concern was that they couldn't do both. And I kind of agree with that. I don't know why they would think they could do both of those things.
And even when they announced that Netflix thing, people were like, "What?" There was absolutely consternation. Like, how could they do this?
Yeah. Like, it's just too much at one time, which is interesting because he knew these guys were going to be hot items once Game of Thrones ended. It's one of the most successful television shows of all time. Despite even how you feel about the last season ending, the overall show was a complete success and widely regarded as some excellent content. But that was just one show, although it was pretty much making a movie every week. And there were two of them. Normally, showrunners, there's only one on a show.
Yeah.
But there were two of them. But among their duties, I've kind of come to think of a showrunner as being equivalent to a director as far as film goes. Even though they don't necessarily direct every episode, they have enough creative input into every aspect of the show that they are guiding the overall vehicle, just the same way as a director guides a film.
I was telling students yesterday about the role of producer or production coordinator at an agency, where that person is the key figure who has to make sure that things can be done to the deadline and costs that you've laid out. And that's what the showrunner is. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And responsible for the overall thing happens in the way that it's supposed to happen.
But they also have input into story. They write some of the episodes. In many cases, they direct the big episodes, like the big finales. Like Vince Gilligan in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, he will direct the main episodes, and he gives the overall guidance. I can't see anybody not checking in with him about anything having to do with that show. Same with these guys. But it was very unclear as to what their roles were going to be surrounding these Star Wars films. All we knew was that they've been signed on to produce a trilogy. So they would be producers, presumably. Would they have directed? I don't know. Would they have written it? I don't know. It is very different than a TV series. You're only producing 3 films, but we have no idea what those films would have been about.
Maybe they didn't either.
Well, but here's the question. Do you think that the backlash surrounding the end of Game of Thrones soured them on being involved in another rabid fandom being Star Wars, and the backlash they would have received? Like, look at what happened to Rian Johnson, although he seems to be okay with it. But generally speaking, a lot of kind of negative Star Wars fans have driven people away from social media and been really, really awful to a lot of the people involved with that. Do you think that mattered at all?
Nah.
No?
I think I actually have I've been trying to find Kathleen Kennedy's statement, and I found it. And I think this is everything. It says, David and Dan are incredible storytellers. We hope to include them in the journey forward, and they are able to step away from their busy schedule to focus on Star Wars. Some read that as a slight.
Well, it is.
But I think it's true that when you're involved in a Star Wars trilogy, let alone a single film, you need to focus on that one thing. And my guess is you finish Game of Thrones, you are the toast of the town. Everybody wants you. Everybody will sign you to $1 billion. So you sign everything. You're like in a fit of excitement. Everything sounds great. So you agree to everything. And then when it actually comes time to produce that thing, maybe you're not ready to do that.
Yeah, I think
it's that simple.
Yeah, they got kind of overwhelmed with all the offers pouring in.
Yeah.
They thought they could do both things at once. And I think it's a good thing ultimately that they stepped away because although, I mean, it would have been fine, I think, for them to say no to Netflix, but I think Netflix was paying them more because apparently all the big Amazon, all the big like producers of content were trying to offer them big bucks to do something for them. So I think Amazon offered the most money, so they get the guys, and now Star Wars has to look for a new producing team. Meanwhile, they still have Rian Johnson and his trilogy, whatever that is.
In theory, I mean, do they?
Certainly, I don't think Rian Johnson's going anywhere. I think he's okay with making The Last Jedi. It was a very divisive film. A lot of fans didn't like it. They ripped him apart on social media, and he seems to come out the other side okay. Like, he doesn't. I see him on Twitter. Occasionally, I'll see like Pablo or someone retweet him, and he's having fun with it. He's not letting that stuff bother him.
As you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in an era where we're used to seeing the trolls. And the good thing about that is originally people would retweet those trolls and go, let's all gang up on this person. And it would just become this massive craziness. And now people just kind of ignore it. You know, and that's what you should have done in the first place.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be developing something that was going to be the next thing that came out for Star Wars. And now they're not developing something that was going to be the next thing. So the question is, what happens now? Now, does Rian Johnson's movie get moved up, or is planned trilogy? Does something else get developed in its place? What happens? Like, might the Obi-Wan series kick off with a movie? Might what could we do here? Like, I don't want Star Wars to just become a Disney Plus thing.
I agree.
Although The Mandalorian looks fantastic. But I still would like Star Wars to be a movie.
Oh,
right?
For sure. No, the theater going experience is part of Star Wars and always has been for me. So I think that's a must. But they really are, like, I don't know where they would go from here. They've for the first time in years, we don't have any upcoming Star Wars films. Next year we won't have anything. There's nothing planned, nothing really being released next December. So this has been like a 5-year kind of run of 5 years? 4 years, I guess, of like since 2015. Every Christmas or every kind of Christmas, we've had a Star Wars movie. But now there's nothing planned. So I don't know what they would do next. Like, I think they have plans as far as where they want to go story-wise and what kind of stories they want to tell. I'm sure they do, because we know somebody who's on that story group, and he is the kind of person that would be always thinking about what kind of stories they can tell. But what that means is I just can't even think of where they would go.
Well,
you know?
Knights of the Old Republic is the ace in the hole. And I think when you think about kind of like, it's almost like a Pirates of the Caribbean meets Star Wars kind of scenario. Like, even when you play those games,
sure.
It's kind of low tech Star Wars, and it's good low tech Star Wars. And I could see a trailer where you almost see it looked like a group of pirates standing on the cliff or whatever, and the wind's blowing in their hair, and you're like, Knights of the Old Republic, and woo, like sort of how did things work then? And
how long ago was that? Hundreds of years? 1,000 years?
I think it was hundreds, but I might be even.
Okay.
Like, it's been a long time since I played those games, which are great game. Like, a game doesn't make a movie, as we know.
No,
but
that's right.
But a good script writer looking at that source material could write a great film.
I'll say this about the Knights of the Old Republic game: the playability of it, the characters, the droids, all that stuff seems very derivative of the original trilogy. Like, you have the guy who's a smuggler, whatever he is. He's kind of you can choose your guy, but he's like mostly a Han Solo ripoff. There's a card game like Sabacc. There's there are droids very similar to R2-D2 and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of elements of that. There's the slicing. So they didn't go too far away from the original trilogy in that game. That's not saying they couldn't.
What I like about the game, and what I would suggest they do for a movie, is use the aesthetic of the game. And go, this is what it looks like. This is the rules of this place. This is what was around then. This is what wasn't around then, and sort of give us a good old like swashbuckler with like maybe the technology isn't what it was in the later films, and so therefore it gives you more opportunity to show different kinds of battles and different kinds of issues.
What I like about the game is that there's kind of you work your way up to the lightsaber. You don't start with it. There's a sword fighting element. There's a sword fighting, so you do that first, and then you develop the skills to become a Jedi. So there could be legitimate sword fighting scenes and that kind of stuff. And I don't think they should get too hung up on the technology aspect, because we learned from Star Trek Enterprise where they tried to make things lower tech. I mean, that's something that's based in this reality, so it's like our future. Star Wars is not that. And I think in this landscape where we have thousands of years of spacefaring technology, let's just put it that way, where they've been off of their normal planet for a long time, the technology comes and goes as far as what's high tech and what's not. And that's why we see in like even in modern Star Wars, modern meaning this era, the holograms are still kind of like scratchy and staticky and like blue. Like there's no. They should really have the technology for like high definition holograms at this point, right?
They should.
Come on.
But it's fine.
It's fine.
That's what makes it that's part of I think what the struggle is with Star Wars, which is what makes Star Wars. And that's why when Poe in the last film starts dropping some modern lingo on us, I'm like, that's not Star Wars. Like, we all have our own definition.
I mean, Han does it as well. I think that's JJ's influence. Like, there's the part where he's like, what does he say? That's not how the Force works. Like that kind of dialogue is not really. It's hilarious.
Well, delivered
funny.
by Harrison Ford, it seems more acceptable.
It does.
But for some reason, what does Poe say? What now? Yeah, when he goes, what now? I'm like, no. Like they get 30 Rock up there, and
they do.
Yeah, they get 30 Rock. So I'm not crazy about but we all have our limits and we all have our own definition of what we think Star Wars is, and I think that's part of the problem. I think that's where the trolls start losing their minds and all of that stuff. That's not Star Wars, and that is Star. Like I'll know that we've reached the point of no return when someone goes, I feel like the Sith are like invading my safe space, okay? Like we'll have somebody doing that, like we'll have safe spaces and I feel like and all of that. We'll have cancel culture we'll have on the
in the Star Wars
yeah,
universe.
that's right.
Yeah.
You're canceled, Poe. Like, you're canceled. Shut up, hologram. You're canceled, Poe.
Well, no, when somebody says yeet in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, yuck. or Poe contacts Finn through the starfighter and goes, "What's up? What's up?"
That's not modern at all. That's like a 20-year-old ad.
Yeah, but this is like maybe a past Star Wars, 20 years earlier, a flashback. That'd be funny. Remember that old battle on Tikrit? What's up? cut to battle. 20 years older.
I wonder if that's something to consider. Like, they made an effort during Rogue One to really get the uniforms looking like the 70s uniforms.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think it's interesting to think in terms of fashion and clothing choice. I think they did that for the prequels as well. They made an effort to make those look significantly different from the older Star Wars films. And yeah, you have to think about how these things progress. Like even Han Solo gets a new jacket, and he doesn't wear his vest anymore, and that kind of stuff.
It's all Han Solo-y though. They did a good job in the original trilogy of getting that down.
Yeah, that was
changing it enough so that it's something changed, but not so much that it's.
But wasn't the original Han Solo thing supposed to be that's the captain's uniform, which is why Lando's wearing it at the end of Empire Strikes Back?
That's right.
He's wearing the captain's uniform, right?
Correct.
It's good. I love it. All right, it's good. I can't wait. This is gonna be so exciting. And to be fair, I'm getting excited about rewatching all the movies. I'm gonna have to start doing that soon, because we have 8 movies to get through. I'm not gonna watch the standalones. I'm just gonna watch the main movies. But we have 8 movies to get through. And I've just attempted and failed to watch 31 horror movies in a month. I did not get to that.
We'll talk about that next week, I guess, hey? Even though Halloween will be over then. But
well, I mean, I can just say.
On Media Nerds, maybe.
Maybe.
Let's see what happens.
I've been, what I found is that there can be too much of a good thing. And I don't want to dread watching. I love horror movies, but I don't want to have to dread watching them. And at a certain point, I just didn't feel like watching scary movies.
Yeah.
So I watched maybe 22 or something like that.
Well, that's amazing.
And they're good. They're all good movies. I really was happy with the ones I watched, the new ones I watched. But I'm looking forward to watching from the beginning. I'm going to watch it in order of episode this time, not in order of release. So we'll start with episode 1 and work our way through episode 8. And then get ready to go see episode 9 on December 19th.
Yeah, that's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm especially looking. Oh, I guess we'll have our Mandalorian discussions from now on too, because those are being released week at a time.
Yeah, no. Well, next week we don't have anything. Oh, we'll see what happens in the news. But next week we don't have anything planned for content, but the week after that, we'll definitely be able to talk about the Mandalorian. So
yeah, lots coming down the pipeline. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan.
It is.
Until all of this stuff gets out, and then there's nothing left.
And then all the fans tear it apart afterwards. That's when it's not a great time to be a Star Wars fan.
That's the best time. Sorry, I was wrong.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadebonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
That's no move.
Now I am the master.
TK421, you come.
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.